God's grace and peace be with each of you. It is a blessing to have a brief time with you as we continue to strengthen one another on this journey we call life. In the life of the church, we are looking at some of the attributes and nature and character of God as we continue to grow in our faith. This past week, we explored the omnipresence of God. That was our preaching focus for this past Sunday, and it came from the book of Acts, beginning in the 17th chapter around verse 24. And it talks about the God who created the heavens and the earth, and God who is always present with and among us. And around verse 27, there was a word that was particularly striking, and it referred to perhaps we would seek God. And that for me was incredibly eye-opening. And it was a reminder that oftentimes we don't see God. And that might be a foreign notion to us because we may say that I'm always seeking God. Well, I invite you to ask yourself the question, as I've asked myself the question, when we are going through life and making life decisions, are we seeking God? When we are in conversations that sometimes require a higher measure of discernment and wisdom and knowledge, are we seeking God? Perhaps you are in relationships and they are going through challenging times. That's nothing to be ashamed of. The question is, are you seeking God for proper guidance and direction on how to hear the other and perhaps how to respond? There are countless situations and scenarios that can be lifted up as a point of reflection and asking ourselves, are we seeking God in our daily decision makings in how to do and be? For God is ever present. There is a song and a prayer that I want to refer to in our time together. And it is the prayer of St. Patrick. And it was a prayer written while there was those in battle. And it was written for protection for those that were going through this war. And later it was adapted as a way of praying with and for others who were going through life situations and circumstances, mental illness and depression and other matters that cause us to be challenged in our life. And out of that came the hymn, Christ Beside Me. And the words to this song are absolutely profound, and yet I am so mindful and thankful to have a time of reflection to remember that there's never a time that God is not with us. And the song goes like this. It says, Christ beside me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, King of my heart, Christ within me, Christ below me, Christ above me, never to part. And as I have grown in my faith, I've tried to allow prayers and hymns to resonate, to take root in my spirit. And so when I think about Christ beside me and Christ before me, I'm reminded that there's never a time or a place or a space that I am out of his presence. And I pray that that's not awkward or uncomfortable for any of us, but it is absolutely assuring that God's protection is with us, that God's comfort is upon us, that God's wisdom is within us, and that there is nothing that we can do well separate and apart from God. As I sit here in our sanctuary, and right behind me there's a stained glass window, and in it is a celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And it is Jesus telling the woman, or asking of the woman, who is it that you seek? And I want to pose that to you as I too have reflected on it. As we're going through life, yes, it can be incredibly complicated. It puts us oftentimes in situations and circumstances that we don't desire to be in, and yet we find ourselves there because it's life. God is with us. I ask you, I pray with you and for you as we continue to go through perhaps the most challenging time of my adult life, to remember that God is ever present, and that God is with you, and that God is for you. To exercise the gift of prayer and discernment, to gain wisdom and understanding in how to be and to respond, that others might experience the Christ that is with you and within you, that the love of Christ might be spread further than you might ever even imagine or expect, just because you recognized, acknowledged that He was there with you, and you sought to listen and then to respond in and through an ever-present and all-knowing God. May God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit continue to abide with you, in you, and through you as you continue to walk out your faith in ways that are absolutely life-giving, that bring God pleasure and joy, and that finds you in a place of praise and thanksgiving for who He is and who He has created you and me to be. God bless you. I love you. Stay well. Stay safe. Bye-bye.